Hi, our guests today are Lamontagne and Marilyn Lovell, who are two of the three co-authors of the new Images of America Milford book that came out a month or two ago. And I'll give it a plug, makes an excellent Christmas present.
It's a fantastic book.
Thank you very much.
It brought back a lot of memories, which I think is the comment you probably hear the most from people.
Yes, it is.
What was the genesis of doing the book?
Actually, it was Deborah Eastman's idea to do the book because many people went into the library and asked to take it out, and she said it hasn't been published. So she asked Lynn Lovell here from the Historical Commission if she would be willing to work with her and do the book. And then I joined in with them. And so we had pictures that were from Memorial Hall and the library and the Paul Curran exhibit, and also from several people who donated pictures like Robin Philbin and Pat Fahey. So we got all the pictures together because it basically is a picture book with captions under it explaining the history of Milford.
Now, did you scan each one of them, or did you send them? How did you produce it? Did you?
My husband Roger did all the computer work. He's our IT tech.
But
Arcadia Publishing has a layout. You follow a format. So all the books are similar. Holliston and Hopkinton and Bellingham have been done. And you'll notice that they're all exactly the same way, the same number of pages and pictures. So they do give you a layout, and then you have to scan in the pictures and send them the captions.
18 years ago, I published one for Upton.
Is that right?
Yeah, only it wasn't. There was. It's a book like this and this, and I scanned every one of the pictures, and I sat down with the Historical Society Commission, and we went through all the pictures, and well, I had boxes of them. Well,
Yeah, it is a lot of work.
Yeah,
You
it
had
was, but it
about
was fun.
900 pictures to go through.
It was fun.
And you only end up with 228, I think it was. So
And this covers only until, is it 1970? Or
60.
1960?
60. They didn't want anything newer than that because they aren't considered vintage pictures.
We do have 2 or 3 in there that are later. We covered the blizzard. We thought we couldn't really leave that out.
Yeah,
You
that
have to
would
put
be-
the Blizzard of
And,
78 in.
What did we have? And
The birthday cake.
and there was a third one,
Yeah,
wasn't there?
Catherine Coyne's retirement party.
That's correct.
Because that's a lovely shot. It's got all of the selectmen who were living at the time surrounding Catherine Coyne. And she had worked for 50 years, I think, in the town hall.
now, what was the oldest picture that's in it?
Probably the Marcone, right? Joseph Marcone?
Probably, I don't know. We don't have the milestone in there, correct?
No, we do not have the milestone in there.
So it would be, and he had his store on the main street by where the walk is, Charles
The
River.
Upper Charles Trail.
The Upper
It
River
was just
Trail.
torn
Just
down
recently torn
Just torn
down.
down a year ago.
Yeah,
Right,
and he was the banker, and he did the insurance. He did everything for the
He
Italian
was a travel
population.
agent. He was everything.
He did
yes.
everything for them, and that was probably the oldest.
Well, that was the boundary of the plains, right there at the railroad
Yes,
tracks.
it was.
That's
Yeah.
right. You didn't step over it.
Well, you could, but
You could, but you didn't.
you didn't.
But the first thing they told us to do was find a cover that was suitable, that really said Milford, something
So we have
that
the-
was different than other towns. So we were going to put the Granite Quarry, but the picture wasn't the quality they needed for the cover. So they
the old
ended up
Milford
choosing
Gazette.
this
The old
because
Milford
it's
Gazette.
downtown Milford, and it's got Milford Gazette right on it.
Now, is that the
Yes.
corner of Central Street?
Yes, it
maybe?
is.
It is.
Yes, it
Which
is.
is
And
now,
I actually wanted to put the St. Mary's baseball team on there. We thought we would like that, but we got a lot of flack on that one.
Well, Milford, everybody loves baseball in Milford.
and that,
No, really?
Yeah.
and that building now is now the
It's still there.
one story down but covered in stucco.
That's correct.
It's either a doctor's or a lawyer's office, I think.
Isn't it Alfonso's building? It's the corner of Central Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Alfonso.
But it's the
owns
same
it.
building. They just
Same
keep changing
building.
the facade.
So then we had to
True.
choose the chapters that we wanted to include in our book. So we kind of had an idea of what we wanted.
Well, these are just, I just love old pictures.
I
do
think
too.
it's
Well,
it's
just
it's
fantastic.
The thing I liked about it is you don't want to put it down. You really want to look through there and go, I remember that, or
Yes.
what's that today?
Even if you're not from Milford, you can, from the buildings, you can still
right.
pick out where they are in the main street. And it's so nice to see it with the trolley tracks going down the main street and the old lamp lighting.
Yeah, most people don't realize that it used to be a trolley that went from here all the way to Upton.
Yes.
It also went
And to
Mendon.
Medway.
Mendon, right,
And
and
Medway,
to
my
Lake-
mother
and
used
to
to
Lake
take them.
Nipmuc
And
Park.
this is
Make
where
them
everybody
much.
would do their shopping. They'd
This
come
was
in-
the hub.
This was the
Yes.
hub, that's correct. And, yeah, some of those tracks are still around,
Well,
actually.
when they took the main street down last summer, was it, that they did the main street over? They
Yes.
found, remnants of where the tracks had
Yeah.
gone through
Yep.
and everything. But Joe Knox, that was a historical commission member with us for many years, just got the book. Anne gave it to him on Veterans Day. And he said, I got as far as the kitchen table, and I didn't get any further.
Yeah, he never stopped until he finished reading the whole
He said, I
book.
started like you. He said, I started reading and I
He
couldn't
was
stop
always
reading."
from
You can't put it
Milford.
down.
Well, I've only been in the area 40 years, but I'll tell you, I got my copy and literally sat through here going, I know where this is today, I know where that is.
Yes.
That's,
And we learned a lot. Both Ann and I have been on the commission for a long time. And
We found pictures we had never seen
we've
before.
never seen before, and we looked at
Yeah.
pictures. I've looked at pictures 100 times, and I look at it the 101, and I say, oh,
I didn't see
I
that.
didn't see that in
Oh,
there.
that's a neat thing about pictures. That's why they always say pictures are worth 1,000 words. I mean, you look at
Yes.
a picture and then you walk away from it, then you look at it again and you say, well, I don't remember that person. Or, oh, isn't that so-and-so? And I mean, it's amazing.
And some people found their picture in the book and were so excited because we have a lot of school pictures and a lot of sports pictures and entertainment. So, like we have Boots Mazzulli, but people that didn't realize they were going to be in the book, like Mary Villani was a nurse holding an infant at the Milford Hospital.
Oh,
and
wow.
So it was nice, and people call up and say, I didn't know I was going to be in the book. And Alice De Palmer called up.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
So it was very nice.
It was a fun book to do.
And the process of publishing the book is so much fun. Just
Yes.
the whole thing, because the details and the things, the captions. It's not just a picture, but now you have to identify who's in the picture or what the picture, and that brings back memories. And
Yeah, you got to do some research.
You have to do
and it
research,
is
so
fun.
it really makes you be aware and engaged in what the community historically is all about, which is really kind of neat.
And also, we were very lucky. Deborah is a friend of Leela Dunbar's. She's on the Antique Roadshow. She does all the sports memorabilia, and she's from Haven Street in Milford. So she was willing to do the forward for us.
Oh, that's great.
And yes, yeah.
Right, she was at the library a couple of years ago for an event in
Yes.
reminiscing. But I think one of the nicer things also is when you had the book signing at Memorial Hall, excuse me, I remember you were telling the Board of Selectmen that so many people came in that day, and instead of just getting the book signed, they took the time to look at everything in Memorial Hall, which is
Yes.
a historical showcase of things
Yeah.
in Milford.
Oh, they had
I
a
remember
ball.
saying that.
We had envisioned people coming in, sign their book, and leaving. Nobody left.
Yeah.
Then 2 hours later, oh, I haven't seen you for years. I haven't seen you for years, and they stood around and visited. It was great. It was a.
And Ron Marino was downstairs in the museum, and Ron showed people around because a lot of them said, "Oh, I haven't been in this room since it was a library," because it was a library
Yep,
for
right,
100
right.
years.
That was the last time I was in it, was when it was
So they
Young
were
Library.
amazed to see all the Civil War artifacts and the things, the Milford memorabilia that's on display in there.
Wow.
We
Yeah,
have a
it's
lot of
nice.
fun at the museum. We'll give the museum a little plug here because we're open every Thursday afternoon, and it's amazing the number of people that don't realize that we're there, and the references that we have.
A lot of people don't understand the history of Milford or the community they live in.
That's
So
right.
it's-
Well,
and the historical museum, a museum is really an integral part of any community because it gives people exposure to where the community came from.
Yes.
What's the foundation?
And you guys have a historical building
that we live in.
for the
Yeah.
museum
Milford pink granite, it's beautiful.
that, one of my fears was when the new library was built is that they would tear that down or do something with it. It's just so beautiful.
That's when we
We're
started
very
the first
fortunate.
building reuse committee when that building was going to go empty, because that's what we didn't want to happen.
Right. The other historical building being renovated right now is, of course, the Armory building. They're going to preserve the outside of that,
Yes, they are.
and that's
That's
they do
also
a
Milford
beautiful
Pink
granite
Granite. That's a
building.
beautiful building.
Oh, it is, absolutely.
and the Consigli
Yes.
Company, of course, moved the old school.
Yes.
And
we
that
were
was a
They kept
great
the
fortunate
front
for
of
that.
it.
Oh, great job
Yeah,
on that.
yeah, Consigli did a wonderful job.
That,
Yeah,
Well,
but the
that's-
train is what made Milford advance over the surrounding towns, like Hopedale and Mendon and Hopkinton, because we had the boot and shoe industry, and they could transport them to New York or Boston, because we had the New Hampshire, we had the New York, New Haven line, and we also had the Boston and Albany line. We had 2 trains. There were 2 depots on Central Street at one time. I don't know if you knew that.
Central
Yes.
Street was
We had
was
two.
always the Wild West because of those depots.
So
The
because
trains
they
would
could-
unload, people would come up Central Street, and go to the bars, and go to the
Yes.
Well,
hotels.
some of the one of the buildings is still there.
Yes.
correct.
Yeah,
The
okay.
newer one.
The newer one,
The,
yeah.
the granite one, yes.
Right, which is a really neat, I'm kind of into depots and that kind of thing, and being involved in somewhat in the railroad that's reactivated in Upton. I
Right.
mean, there's a lot of history that goes along with that thing, too.
The
A lot
railroad
of-
is what brings people in. too.
Yes,
Well,
that's
see,
what
that's-
brought people into town.
The interesting part about it's an interesting discussion, because people have a tendency to forget what the railroads really did and the purpose of the railroads.
Right.
You know, that's what expanded commerce. That's how
Yes.
product. You know, we had a big hat factory in Upton, which was. You
We
know,
did too. Cartagena started in
Cartagena's-
Milford before
right,
it went to
yeah,
Upton.
Cartagena's in a
Cartagena's.
big.
We had Lish Brothers. and
Right, right.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, and there was a boot factory, and this is the core, the Industrial Revolution occurred here. Most people don't realize it.
That's right.
You know, that live here, and if you go to school anyplace else in the country, they talk about the Industrial Revolution that started here. So,
Yeah, we
Well, they
had,
always
This
claim it
whole
started
area-
in Lowell or Lawrence.
we
You
had
had a
the
lot of-
boot and
you had
shoe
water
and the
power.
straw and the granite. The granite was all moved by train.
Yes.
That's how it all went out to Washington and New York.
What is
Boston.
now the latest rendition is Venditti bus lines. The granite building on Dilla Street was the cutting house
Yeah,
for the
it was the
granite.
powerhouse, yeah.
The powerhouse,
There
and
was
also
a
where the-
cutting shed on Sabatinelli's property that was 100 feet long by 40 feet wide, I hear. And
Right.
that's where the cutting shed was. And they had a spur track that went right from Sabatinelli's property across Dilla Street by the water company.
Right.
Into the quarries.
Right into the building.
into the quarries, and then it would
Yeah.
connect down the rail spur through what is now the bike trail.
Yes.
Yeah, it goes
The
to
Upper
Hop-
Charles
goes to
Trail
Hopkinton and
is a
Holliston.
rail trail. That's what they
Right.
call it.
Right.
And so when you're walking on it, you're walking where the train used to
right,
go.
right,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize
There
that.
is
It's
one
rail
on
trail.
the Hopkinton to, coming back from the Hopkinton parking lot to where you cross Dilla Street. There is a plaque erected, I don't know if you
Yes.
guys put it up, that talks
Yes.
about the granite industry.
Funny you
We get in
should say
trouble about
that.
that.
Because I thought there's,
Careful, right? We have to be careful with this area.
they changed the plaque. The DOT put it up, the Department of Transportation. And first, I gave them misinformation, but then Pat Fahey corrected me, and so the DOT changed the sign, so it's correct now. I thought there's, it looks like stalls for animals down
Yes.
there, and I thought the train went on top of that, because down in Holliston, they have one similar.
Right,
And the
that
train
was
did
the
pass on
trestle.
across, so I said that that was the base, and they said, and Pat said, no, that was the foundation for a cutting shed. And he said, I'm gonna have them change that, and I said, I don't care, I'm,
Go ahead.
I admitted I was wrong, so that's what that is, the foundation for a cutting shed. And there's 2 tracks down there. One was the trolley going to Hopkinton, and the other
Right.
was the train going to Boston.
Right,
They're side by side. It's right in the Vietnam Trail.
right. And of course, the great tragedy of the granite industry is when New York allowed Penn Station to get torn down.
That's right.
Oh.
And
And we didn't get it, we didn't tend to it and get an eagle. I mean, we should have brought back one of the eagles.
No, it was interesting, when they replaced the front steps on Town Hall last year or the year before, they couldn't find a Milford Pink to do it.
I know. I got my tombstone already. It's Milford Pink Granite. I'm very lucky.
No, but it's kind of sad when
Because
you
it's
think about it.
it's hard to come by.
We
was
just
kind-
got some, no.
Yeah.
It was kind of sad when you thought about it. Here's the Town Hall, and you're replacing the steps.
We're granite
And-
from
and-
somewhere else.
It came from Texas.
Oh,
Where did
okay.
you get, and the Perry Monument, and you got a piece of pink granite for them. Oh, and
Yeah, over in Hopkinton, but they stopped over in Hopkinton at Fletcher's Quarry.
Right.
But that has ceased operation now.
Right, everybody's done, and most people will drive over to near Stop and Shop and not even realize the thing with the fountain spraying out was a granite quarry,
Yeah, that was
Or-
Crick's Ledge.
or going up Fortune Boulevard.
Yeah,
So they
Norcross
don't-
Quarry.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Ann is the
And
Ann
right,
is the
but
granite lady.
Haskell's was down by Sport Authority,
Right.
and that's just a small hole now. Before that was a huge quarry. They filled it in 1970 when 495 came through town. Yeah.
Wow.
It's
But it was-
almost,
But there were 21 boot shops. You mentioned that there was a boot shop on Central Street. They were on Central, North Bow, and Depot.
the senior
Plus,
center
there was
sits on a former shoe shop, doesn't it?
Walker, yes, it does. The Walker Shoe Shop was on West Street, and Mann's was a huge one up by the Milford Hospital. There were 21 in, I think it was 1860 that I'm working on. 21 boot shops.
That's
Wow.
Ann's. That's what Ann's doing right
That's
now.
my latest project.
Your latest project is boot shops.
Yes.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
great.
Well, she's been finding them all, and but she really the granite.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, granite is so important to Milford history.
Well, it's the I mean, that's really kind of the foundation.
Yes.
It's a-
Well,
It was
it-
one of the
They put it on the map.
They
Right,
put it on the map. I mean, it was specified by architects as Milford Pink.
Yes.
the fellow that did the Boston Public Library, which is Milford Pink from the ground up.
Right.
Literally, they gave him a choice of any granite he would like, and he said nothing but Milford Pink granite.
And that was McKim from New York.
Right, and that was, until they changed to building skyscrapers out of steel and glass.
Yeah.
That was the preferred method,
It was
was
before.
granite, and Milford really was the preferred color.
Yeah, it started after the big fire in Boston. You know how it wiped out all of the wooden structures except Paul Revere's house? Then they went to building with granite and brick and mortar because of the fires. Our Main Street is lovely, where we have the Gillen block and the Music Hall block and the Hotel William. That's a lovely section of Milford.
it is, it is.
And the Flatiron Building a
And
block
the
away.
Flatiron is
People
beautiful.
don't stop to look, but you should stop and look at the Gillen block because the tiles that are on there were done by, his name was Ephraim Weirs, and he did these tiles, and if you'll notice, they're all different on there, and his collection is in the Smithsonian,
What I always look at is, I always look at Moran's photography building
a music block.
and try to imagine that it's the early 1900s, and there's
Yeah.
Enrico Caruso singing
Yes.
opera in there in Milford,
Yeah.
a world-renowned person,
Yeah.
and people just drive by it every day without a thought.
The children love the story because they brought a whole group of small ponies upstairs, and they had a baseball game on the stage in the music hall. And that's the story that the children love. Me too.
Oh, really? Well, there you
So
go.
let's go back to the book for a minute. I know when you met with the Board of Selectmen, they mentioned they'd love to see Volume 2 from the 70s up. Any plans?
Don't
No.
ask Roger. Poor Roger. He did such a super job. Our pictures are great in this book.
This is not to
And-
take away
and
from what
thanks
you
to
did,
Roger.
but between Paul Curran's book, which came out a year
Oh, yeah,
ago,
Paul Curran's is
and
lovely, too.
this book, you have an excellent package of books on Milford's history.
We do.
Yeah.
We have Aiden Blue up to 1880. Then we wrote the book up to 1980 for our bicentennial. And now we have this book
Now
of
we
Paul
got another
Curran,
one.
so we're very lucky.
So because this is our last show before Christmas, let's give a plug.
Oh.
If I wanted to buy this, where would I find
There
it
you
besides
go.
the Barnes
Yes.
& Noble in Bellingham? Is there anywhere else I can find this book right now?
Yes, it's at the Milford Town Library. And also just on Thursdays at Memorial Hall from 1 to 4,
And the cost is?
$20.
And you can
It's
call either of
$21.99
us.
at Barnes & Noble, $20 at either the library or Memorial Hall.
And the money goes to,
Memorial Hall Cultural.
Hi, every year Milford School Superintendent Bob Tremblay and his friends do a musical Christmas card for members of the school department. Here today to play some songs are Bob and guests Carolyn Chaplin, Jim Ligor, and Lou Miano.
And so this is Christmas, and what have you done? Another year over, a new one just begun. So this is Christmas, hope you have fun. dear ones, the old and the young. So this is Christmas, for weak and for strong, for rich and the poor one. The road is so long. So happy Christmas and a happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one without any fear. This war is over if you want it. War is over now. So this is Christmas for black and for white, for yellow and red ones. Let's all stop the fight. So happy Christmas, and what have you done? Another year over, a new one just begun. It's so happy Christmas and a happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one without any fear. This war is over if you want it. War